Sanjay Shah was a man who understood the system, not just how to play the markets, but how to bend them to his will. To the outside world, he was a self made financial genius, a British hedge fund trader who had built an empire from the ground up. But behind the success, behind the billion-dollar mansions, luxury yachts, and extravagant philanthropy, lay one of the largest tax frauds in history. Between 2012 and 2015, Denmark lost over $1.2 billion to a scheme that was as simple in concept as it was devastating in execution. The fraud was known as the Cum-Ex trading scandal, a complex financial maneuver that allowed investors to claim refunds on dividend taxes that were never actually paid. It was a system that should have been impossible, but loopholes, greed, and a failure of oversight allowed it to go undetected for years. The fraud explained, how did Sanjay Shah steal $1.2 billion? At the heart of Shah's fraud was a financial sleight of hand. In the world of stocks and dividends, when a company issues dividends to its shareholders, taxes are withheld and paid to the government. But what if multiple people claimed ownership of the same stock at the same time? That's exactly what Cum-Ex trading did. Shah's network of hedge funds and shell companies engaged in a rapid-fire exchange of shares right before the dividend payout dates. These stocks were traded so quickly between entities that the system lost track of who actually owned them. By the time the dividend was paid, multiple parties claimed they were entitled to tax refunds, when, in reality, the taxes had never been paid in the first place. Through this technique, Shah's operations created money out of thin air. Each fake refund request was pure profit, siphoned straight from Denmark's tax authorities. How did authorities first catch wind of the fraud? For years, the fraud went unnoticed. The transactions, though vast in number, were legal on the surface, at least in a technical sense. But cracks began to form. In 2015, a whistleblower came forward, a former banker who had participated in similar schemes in Germany. He revealed that Denmark's tax system had been targeted in one of the largest financial heists in history. His testimony triggered a full-scale investigation. Danish authorities were shocked by what they found. Billions had been stolen, and Sanjay Shah was at the center of it. But by the time investigators put the pieces together, Shah had already fled. He was now living lavishly in Dubai, untouchable. Denmark demanded justice. The impact on the stock market and global finance. The revelation of the fraud sent shock waves through the financial world. Stock markets across Europe trembled. The exposure of Cum-Ex trading forced regulators to tighten dividend tax refund processes, leading to a decrease in trading liquidity. Banks and hedge funds scrambled to distance themselves. Major institutions, some of which had unknowingly facilitated the scheme, saw their reputations tarnished. Governments across the world began re-examining their tax laws. Denmark wasn't the only victim. Germany, Belgium, and France had also been targeted. The combined damage, over $10 billion stolen globally. Shah's scheme had set off a domino effect in the financial world, forcing countries to rethink how they regulate tax refunds and high-speed trading strategies. The hunt for Sanjay Shah and his arrest in Dubai? Denmark wasn't about to let Shah escape. For years, he hid in plain sight in Dubai, a city with no extradition treaty with Denmark. He lived in a lavish villa, ran a charity, and publicly denied any wrongdoing. Danish authorities worked tirelessly to get him. In 2022, after years of pressure, Dubai's authorities finally arrested Shah. It was a moment of reckoning. He fought extradition for nearly 2 years, but in late 2023, he was sent back to Denmark to face justice. The trial and the maximum sentence. The courtroom was packed. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, bank statements, fraudulent documents, insider testimony. Shah, once so confident, sat motionless as the truth was laid bare. His defense? That he had done nothing illegal, that he had simply used loopholes that existed in the system. But the court saw through the facade. On December 12, 2024, Sanjay Shah was convicted of the largest tax fraud in Danish history. The sentence? 12 years in prison, the maximum allowed under Danish law. Nearly 1 billion in assets were seized, including bank accounts, properties, and offshore holdings. The aftermath, a $1 billion illusion destroyed. For years, Shah lived like a king, believing he had outsmarted the system. He built an empire out of deception, siphoning billions through a loophole no one had noticed, until it was too late. But in the end, even the smartest fraudsters can't outrun justice. The $1 billion illusion had finally come crashing down,